Hi folks, in this video, just some takes on the season that was. Coming up. All right, I wanted to have a video just to chat with you guys like a buddy and talk to you about the season, what I felt, what I seen, and the season that was, that just unfolded in front of our eyes. And looking back at some of I think our season started with last year's clearing out of the lockers. We knew we were in for a long season. We knew that Jack wasn't going to stop, and we knew we had to move him. And we knew it would cause a divide with our fans because there were still some loyal Jack Eichel fans till they couldn't take it no more. It's like, finally, you guys see the light. Like, come on. Like, we had to move this guy. And Sam with his long face, he had to move too. Risto was the one I felt for the most. I did. Kind of, he never really said anything terrible about the team, and he never really, But we knew we had to move on from that core, so to say. We did. We had to move on from them. They were overpriced, and they weren't going to help us get anywhere. We needed to start fresh. We needed to get some drafts. We needed a culture change. And I think what happened with this culture change, the way it went down, was, I believe, the culture change happened once we got rid of these guys. And I say that with all due respect to Risto, and even Sam, really. Jack, he had to go. He was like the center version of having a Robin Lehner. He was the center version of the goaltending version of Robin Lehner. He became that much of a distraction, and this guy just made everything all about himself. So we had to move from these guys. We had to do it right and wait for the proper deal. We got the proper deal done, and we've moved on. The Sabres look good. They were 32-39 in a season of rebuild where we were the lowest paid team in the league, the lowest paid, and we had the Boychuk contract and to hit the cap floor. I was looking at the numbers today. So no matter what way you cut it, if I was to tell you the salary, I should have broke that down and given you guys the exact salary this year of the team. It was in the 50s, just so you know. And people say, well, the Sabres are cheap. It's not, we're cheap. No, we're smart. You got to keep the money to have the power and to have the decision-making now like we do. You don't want to have a team that's strapped with the cap. You don't want that. That's bad money management. When you think about it, one team wins the championship, and it's usually never the highest paid team. People talk about the President's Trophy, right? Oh, the President's Trophy curse. There's no such thing as that. There isn't. What it is we're in a very competitive league. And you got to beat 4 of these teams who can all beat you. And the odds of doing that are rough, But one thing I will say, when's the last time the highest paid team in hockey won the cup? I guess we can look at the tricks that Tampa did, right? We can look at the tricks there. I'm not so sure because you got to count. There's a whole bunch of teams you got to count when it comes to the cap, though. They're all capped out. And I think the dumbest thing we can do, I'm looking at another team that's been pretty smart with the cap is if you go look at Nashville. They've been pretty smart too. Not doing too bad over there. There's teams doing well. Of course, Jersey's been smart with it. So's the Senators as they're getting a bit older and they're going to have to lock in their players. We know. We'll see next year. Next year is going to say a lot if the Sabres manage, and I say that very carefully, manage to keep $20 million open again as we grow and develop. And that's after signing Olofsson. The Sabres have to do this right, guys. We can't just sign Olofsson because he scored and got on a hot streak for a month and a half. No. There has to be other intangibles we have to look at. We have to look at everything that he brings to the ice, everything. Now, the one stat that's amazing is when he has a 2-point game, we're undefeated. So how can we get this guy playing better next year is the question. How can we turn him into a 35-goal guy, not a 20? We have to look at these things. We'll talk about that, though, in a future video. Right now, I'm looking at this season. I was happy with Olofsson's close. It's too bad. You see, some of these guys, they come on, they troll my channel, even though they're Sabres fans, and they get personally hurt, like they're in totally emotionally involved with these people off the ice. And I'm not emotionally involved with anything except the logo. The rest of it, no, I'm not emotionally involved. We could trade Tage Thompson and I'd want to know what we got back. It's the way I think when it comes to this team. So we have to look at, got to remember, 2 years down the line, okay, we got a bunch of contracts coming in. We got Tage's contract next year. I didn't even put him in my video. You remember the $1 million video, guys? No, that was all about $1 million and under guys I was looking at. We'll look at all this in the offseason, but we have to do this right. We can't get it wrong, the money. We can't get the money wrong. We just can't. Do another Leno contract, sign some guy in the offseason that just doesn't show up. I mean, we can't go that route. You know, if we were to spend money, and I'm talking like 6-7 million, the only guy I think I would go after is Fleury. That's it. And for 2 years. That's it. Because that would be a big stepping stone. And you can imagine, you know, you guys seen the last few years. I mean, the guy's such a team guy. He doesn't care where he goes. He just wants to play and be part of, and he will do what he's asked. He doesn't roll his eyes. He doesn't do any of that stuff. He doesn't talk about, oh, I'm in a hotel room and I only get to order meals 6 times a day like Leonard did. I mean, he can't do these. He doesn't go there. And I think, you know, when you get team guys and you put them on a team like we have now, I don't think that could ever go wrong. Imagine if we would have had Fleury this year, is what I'll just throw at you guys. Just imagine if we would have, right? And nothing against Tokarski and Subban and Hauser and all these guys. And of course, Anderson, you know, that stepped it up and you know, did what they could for us, you know. And I have no complaints really, except next year we can't go that route again. We have to get some stability in the net. So this year, the stability in the net was better than what we paid. I mean, you had 5 guys, all at minimum, that came in, all at minimum. And you know, this season is going to be different. We got to put some money into the goaltending. And now, if we're not going to do that with the defensemen also, then I would take that extra money and, you know, and start getting the kids developing with a very stable netminder next year. And I honestly think Fleury would come here. I do. And play with Tuck again. I think he would. All it would take is Tuck giving him a phone call and talking to him, you know, and keeping in touch and saying, listen, you know, I think you'd love it here. You know, that's sometimes all a guy needs to hear. He wants to close out his career in a place that he knows won't move him and will respect him for what he's done. You know, nothing against Chicago. They made the right decision moving him. You know, like they figured maybe they can make a run at a playoff spot with him. They had the horrible start, never recovered. But what Vegas did to him, the backstab job there, wasn't really nice. Really, it wasn't nice what they did. I mean, this guy had to find out through the internet that he was traded. He didn't even get a phone call. Like, what is that? I don't get that. The first thing when we traded Sam is, you know, Adams picked up the phone and talked to him. They had a good conversation. And, you know, he touched Reinhart so properly. You've seen in that embedded episode how Reinhart felt kind of bad leaving Buffalo. You know, he felt kind of bad. And they wished each other well, you know, and that was it. That's the way it should end. Not you look on the internet and say, oh, I got traded. Like, you know, it's not the right way, Vegas. You got to fix what's going on over there with your the brass in Vegas. You know, you can't let entitled players run the show either. But getting back to our season, a lot of surprises. Okposo, big surprise. I wasn't surprised at Skinner. I expected 30 goals, really. Tage, the biggest surprise, without a doubt. Biggest surprise was Tage. The emergence of Dahlin, not really a surprise. Really, not really. He's steady now. We can trust him, guys. We can trust him now. You know, he doesn't make half the mistakes he made months ago. He's changed forever, you know. And then Samuelsson was an amazing surprise. Really, for me it was. I know some of you had talked about him early. I wanted to see it, and I seen it. So I was very happy about that. There's just a lot of things. And of course, everybody said, Owen Power's not going to sign. Well, that went out the window. We got to stop with conspiracy theories. Sabres fans need to stop. The minute Levi didn't sign here, oh, he doesn't want to play in Buffalo. It's like, come on, would you stop with that? Just let it happen before we talk about it, at least. If we're going to bring up a negative subject, bring it up after it happens. So guys, I think that the guys that will take a big step next year, I believe Dylan Cousins. I expect to see a big step next year. He's still young. He might take him another 2 years. But I think next year we'll see a step up, like 25 goals from him. Middlestat, if he's healthy. You know, we could have had a few more 20-goal scorers in this team if we would have stayed healthy for sure. This team is a nice team. And Okposo, I don't know if Okposo will get 20 again next year. I'm very happy with him this year. But I haven't forgotten how Okposo was invisible before this year, just for the record. I haven't forgotten that. But it was nice to see that happen. It was almost a very pleasant surprise. Now, Okposo, my guess is playing his last year in Buffalo next year, because there's really, unless he really impresses again. And if he does impress, I'm sure he'll stay for minimum salary anyway, guys. Kind of a thank you to the Sabres, what the organization meant to him. I feel that about Okposo. I think he would stay in Buffalo for minimum, then go sign somewhere else for 2. You know what I mean? He's made his money. He's good. He's rich for life. He's fine. So I think he would stay for minimum salary just to help the team out on the Fort line, you know? There's a lot of guys that it's going to be hard to figure who's going to stay, who's not going to stay. We'll have to look at that in another video. But I do believe this team, the majority of it, will stay intact next year. And we will see a surprise goalie. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but it's going to be a surprise. I believe we will acquire a goalie with more substance next year that we can rely on for maybe the next 3 years, not even 2, the next 3 maybe. Because this will help a guy like UPL settle in, calm him down. We need that. And we need that, but we need him also to provide good goaltending for the rest of the team, not just the other goalie. So that's it. I'm rambling, guys. That's just some of my thoughts on the season that was. Very happy. For a team that wasn't supposed to win 15 games, we won more than double and shut up a lot of like channels, threads that just wouldn't stop. Just wouldn't stop. I think the Sabres made believers even out of them. All right, guys. See you in the next one.